Unfun fact of the day. In 2014, the CDC once found a smallpox sample that they had lost and didn't even know. It was lying around in a random storeroom. Welcome back to another episode of me yapping, reading Reddit stories. With that said, sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the Barbie, let's get into it. Am I the arsehole for not contributing to the tuition fee? Hello everyone. I am 48 years old. My husband has a daughter from his first marriage. She is 22. She never wanted to have a relationship with me, and I've always been careful with her. I never tried to be her mother. I stayed in my lane and I kept things respectful. Our relationship was always distant, but fine. Coming to the point, she wants to go to grad school. My husband saved a specific amount for this purpose. It was meant for a local university. She suddenly changed her mind. She applied to an expensive school, which my husband claims that he didn't know about, and got in. The tuition there is double what my husband saved. He told her clearly that this is out of his budget. She didn't seem to care too much about it, and she just expected the money to appear. This stressed my husband a lot, so my husband has been discussing the tuition gap. I have some personal inheritance money that I keep separate. I have saved this to buy a house together. My husband asked me if I could cover the difference for his daughter. I told him no. I did not feel it was my responsibility, as we had agreed to keep this part separate. I could see how he was stressed out about it, so I agreed to think about it. I believe he talked to his sister at one point and told her about our conversation. 2 days later, sister-in-law told the daughter that I was paying for the school. The daughter called me out of nowhere, and she was suddenly very warm and thanked me over the phone. I was completely confused. I told her straight out that there was a misunderstanding. I told her that I am not paying for it. The call went cold immediately. The conversation felt it went from 0 to 100 suddenly. She said that she already knew that I didn't care about her future. She said I was hoarding money just to be cruel. She went on a rant and mentioned how I'm controlling her with the money. A few choice words were said and I called her entitled. I feel completely blindsided. She only showed me warmth when she thought that she was getting my money. She has ignored me for years before this. Now my husband is acting quiet. He says he understands my choice, but his silence feels heavy. I can tell he expects me to just cave and pay it to keep the peace. My sister-in-law made a mess, and now I look like the villain. I have the funds, but the entitlement makes me sick. I refused to back down during the argument and told her that she needs to grow up. What should I do? Or is there a middle ground in this? In the comments, Substantial Key says, "Not the arsehole. He's manipulating you though. With his sister and daughter, he now has your inheritance money earmarked for his daughter. As for her, by the time you're 22 years old, you are more than old enough to know that your attitude and behavior can build or break bridges." OP replies, "Thank you for your reply. I believe he doesn't have any malice regarding talking with sister-in-law, as they usually talk about almost everything, but I just don't understand how the confusion came out to be. We had a good relationship and he supports me, so it just makes me feel guilty seeing him stuck into this situation. And yes, that was my original motivation, because if it was college or school, then I could have considered, but this just makes it difficult. Not the arsehole. Why isn't Biomum being mentioned? Where is her contribution?" OP says she isn't financially capable of doing it. It's changing, but in our culture, it's usually the father who contributes for the education or stuff like this. When told her marriage seems over, OP says, "Please do not say that. My husband and I have a very good relationship, and we love each other. I want to believe that we can overcome this situation together. This whole thing is stressing me out terribly. I know my relationship with his daughter might become permanently damaged after this. I just hope that things do not change between him and me. We definitely need to sit down and talk about it to get to the bottom of everything. I also need to speak with my sister-in-law about what she did. It is a big mess, but our marriage has been strong." When told that OP's husband shouldn't be discussing OP's finances, they reply, "You're completely right. I would be furious if he just gossiped about my money, but That's not exactly what happened here. His daughter had been badgering him constantly about the tuition. It became a huge thing in our household. When my husband talked to his sister, he was just venting about the stress. He told her that he had asked me for help and that we were discussing it. He swears that is all he said. I'm not sure if something got lost in translation, or if my sister-in-law just ran her mouth, or if the daughter just assumed that I would say yes because we were talking. My husband told me his sister actually said it to the daughter just to placate her and calm her down in the moment, which wasn't her place to say in the first place. Maybe these conversations have happened in this time, but to me it sounds like the husband is offloading responsibility for his fuck-up onto OP. If he genuinely wants to fix this situation, he should be leading the charge and being like, okay, daughter, I'm sorry that my sister is a fucking dumbass and told you that my wife was going to give you her personal savings for your college fund, but that's not the truth. She's not okay with it. I respect that. That is her money, and she can do with it as she wishes. Again, my sister is a dickhead and she is starting drama for no good reason, and it's nobody's place to force my wife to give up her money when we have planned to buy a house with it. I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that that conversation has happened, but OP is just not telling us that. As it stands, OP's not the asshole, and if he hasn't said all of that, he's definitely an asshole for allowing this drama to continue. As is the daughter for being a 22-year-old spoiled brat, as is the sister for being a drama-mongering dickhead. And now, onto the update. So I posted here because I felt lost. My gut told me to stand firm, but seeing my husband stressed made me feel bad. His daughter is a good student, and having the means to help her made me second-guess everything. I posted since she was supposed to visit in person after the phone call, and I needed help handling the meeting. The response was overwhelming. It stressed me out more when strangers questioned my marriage and claimed my husband was using me. I logged out in a panic. I gotta thank Reddit for letting me read comments anonymously. My husband noticed how I was looking at my phone continuously, so I just handed him the phone. He took a long time to read through it all. I watched his face change. He looked up at me and apologized sincerely. I know many people in the comments were judging him harshly, but they do not know the ins and outs of our daily life. He's mostly been a supportive and loving partner to me. He was wrong for dragging me into this mess and expecting me to pay, but human beings are complicated. Life is rarely black and white. We almost always operate in the gray areas. None of us are perfect, but we try our best to make our relationships perfect, which is why I was looking for a middle ground. We had a long talk. No other daughter in his family has gone to grad school, and X can't afford. He wanted more for her, but she applied abroad without asking. He felt trapped between his promise and his budget, which is why he mentioned that he leaned on me. We discussed my inheritance as well. Our current apartment is in his name, but I paid for renovations. We agreed our next house will be in my name, and he will pay for the renovations. I even made him agree to help build the garden that I always wanted. Before she arrived, I called my sister-in-law. My husband had only told her that he asked me for help. She claimed that when the daughter ranted, she just mentioned that he was talking to me. She got defensive when I said that it was not her place to share our private business. She swore she never said that I agreed to pay. She loves drama, so I'm not sure. But I dropped it for now. When the daughter arrived, she acted completely normal. My husband stopped her immediately. He made it clear that his savings were all she was getting. He suggested that she take loans out against family insurance policies in her name, or even work to cover costs. She looked at him like he had 3 heads at that thought of working. Then she lost control, screaming and calling us names. She said she was disappointed in him and claimed I corrupted him. It got toxic, so I asked her to leave. My husband was too stunned to speak. He is still visibly shaken this morning. I will be spending time with family. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who commented and defended me. I never expected this attention. It made me emotional. I do not have a large family, so your kindness means everything. In the comments, Smart Quokka says, quote, 2 days later, sister-in-law told the daughter that I was paying for the school. This was a calculated move to manipulate OP. Or the sister-in-law told the daughter that they were discussing it, so the daughter called to manipulate it into a yes. This could very well be the case. The daughter reminds me a lot of my estranged sister. She very often felt entitled to more than what people actually offered. How do you end up like this? It doesn't sound like they were super wealthy, but I guess you don't have to be to spoil your child. I just don't understand what she thinks will happen here. Even if she gets her way, their relationship would probably never recover. 22 is beyond old enough to not throw tantrums. It's like she actually believes it's her dad's job to make the money appear for the school that she wants, and she doesn't care where it comes from. It's gross. I think in her entitled mind, going to this school is already hers, so anyone refusing her money isn't just not helping, they're actively taking or even stealing from her. I mean, the only big change here was that husband put his foot down and was like, no, that's not happening. That's what I want to see in this story. But at the same time, I also want to see boundaries being put up with the sister because they are well aware that she is going to continuously sabotage their life because she likes drama. That's not a good thing. You shouldn't allow that into your life. I don't understand why both OP and the husband are so passive about that, and it doesn't exactly sound like things are all hunky-dory with the daughter either. Like, things blew up and she hasn't accepted the reality of the situation, so you know what, best of luck there, OP. Let's hope that he continues to maintain a shiny spine and will continue to have those boundaries of, we're not touching OP's money, okay, daughter? Good luck, good luck, good luck. Our next post is by user Roommate Throwaway 66, and it's titled, Am I the asshole for going to my boyfriend's birthday instead of staying with my sick roommate? I, 21 female, went to celebrate my boyfriend's, 19 male, birthday with him a few days ago. However, a few hours before I left, my roommate, 30 female, was having the worst period of her life. For context, she has endometriosis and PCOS. It gets really bad sometimes. So much so that she had to call in her mum and sister to help. When her family got here, they ended up having to call an ambulance to get her to the hospital. Once her family arrived and they had all left with the EMTs, I also left the house to go out. When I was at my boyfriend's place, I got a text from my roommate's boyfriend telling me that he was on a business trip and would be back to square out the dogs. My roommate owns 5 big dogs. We also often keep an eye on her boyfriend's dog, so we have 6 dogs at home most of the time, and he was asking me if I was home and looking after them. I told him I wasn't home, but if needed, I could get back. That I thought that things were okay since her family was over and they had everything all handled, and I hoped she was okay. He answered very neutrally, and we left it at that. I thought things were a bit weird, so I stayed with my boyfriend for an extra day. Time to give my roommate time to recover properly since her boyfriend was over to take care of her. I didn't really want to be in their way. I got back home yesterday, and everyone was pretty much avoiding and ignoring me. Since I got back home pretty late, I just went back to my room and didn't get out until the next morning. When I woke up today, I ran into her boyfriend in the kitchen. He yelled at me for a solid 10 minutes about how much of an inconsiderate bitch I am, and then I went back up to my room. I didn't make too much of a big deal out of it because he was getting pretty heated. I didn't want to escalate things, and I figured that he was only this way because he got really worried about his girlfriend or something. At around 6 p.m. today, I get a text from my roommate herself telling me that she is beyond hurt that I left, that it looked like I cared more about my plans than being part of the household, and that I should have been there at home to take care of the dogs instead of her boyfriend having to fly back to do it. She also told me that I'm not allowed to have people over anymore because she can no longer trust me. I have a friend that's supposed to fly over for a week while my roommate's off to her brother's wedding. I was also supposed to babysit her dogs that week, but because she can't trust me anymore, she decided to pay to get them babysat elsewhere. The wall of text she sent me felt very passive-aggressive, and by the end of it, she was subtly telling me to get out of the house. I'm currently staying at my boyfriend's place. For extra context, I'm an exchange student. I'm leaving the country in about a month to go back home, and my roommate is also my landlord. Update: after a big night of not sleeping and looking at flights, I'll be leaving the place before the end of the month and keeping the rent that I was supposed to pay her for June. I called my parents and booked my ticket. I'm going back to Paris on the 2nd. Until then, I'll be staying with my boyfriend. His dad very graciously offered for me to stay as long as I need. My mum told me to text her and ask for my deposit anyway, and let her know the exact date that I'm leaving as to cover my bases, as well as take pictures of how the house was before I left, so I have a pretty booked week overall. In the comments, your roommate/landlord is insane. You are neither her family, nor friend, nor partner. You just live there. And it sounds like you're leaving soon. This is wildly inappropriate and, quite frankly, alarming behavior. Expecting you to take over dog care during an emergency is way beyond normal roommate boundaries. OP replies, honest to God, if either of them had told me that they needed me, I would have went back. All we did was hang out in the city center, which is at around 40-minute train ride from my place, and then go to his place, which is around an hour away with traffic. I even told them so, when her boyfriend texted me at 6 in the morning, I was basically already packing my stuff to go catch the first bus. He explicitly told me not to. I genuinely don't know what else I was supposed to do. OP explains more on if her roommate was actually having a seizure or not. She wasn't seizing. From what I gathered when the EMTs were there, she was going in and out of consciousness from the pain and was having hot and cold flashes. Since I haven't gotten any news from her, on how she's doing, I sadly have heard from her in different ways, or from her boyfriend on how she's doing. I don't know much apart from that. OP responds to multiple comments about the roommate's dogs. When I moved in, I was told that the dogs were not my responsibility. They were her dogs. She was the one that had to feed them and care for them, etc. But, if I wanted to, I was welcome to help around with them. Let them out the back, take them out on walks, spend time with them, etc. Throughout my stays since, I really like those dogs and felt homesick and missing my cats. I did look after the dogs when I felt like it and had the time. Key word, when I felt like it and had the time. If I had homework, I'd do it downstairs in the living room to keep them company. If I woke up earlier than I was supposed to in the morning, I'd take them out in the garden. If I wasn't too tired, I'd ask my roommate if she needed help walking them all. That's the extent of my responsibilities when it came to those dogs. There's been a few times where they were my full responsibility, however, but that was only when she asked me. There was once where she fell sick and asked me to take them out the back for her so she wouldn't have to come down, or one other time when she was out longer than she thought she would be, so she asked me if I could feed them. One weekend when she was gone entirely and was supposed to put them in the kennel, I proposed myself to babysit them for free, because I love those dogs and had the time and felt like it. Another commenter says, not the asshole. Jesus effing Christ. This woman and her boyfriend sound like incompetent assholes. She's not your roommate/bestie. She's your landlord. And she reaffirmed that power disparity by revoking your ability to have a guest. You can't do favors for someone that holds the power of your housing over your head. Her boyfriend is a major asshole and is not safe. He screamed at you for 10 minutes? What? I wouldn't want to stay in there anymore at all. I bet he felt like a big strong man after yelling at a foreign college student that he had trapped in her rental. What a tool. She's a grown-ass woman who made a choice to have 5 dogs that she can't provide consistent care for. You're not her in-home caregiver/dog sitter. You're a tenant. She has no boundaries. You were there until she left with her family. What the hell? You were apparently supposed to sit there until she returned? I don't know if this is someone that your exchange program placed you with, but if so, you should report her. I'd look into getting out ASAP, to be honest. She's shown herself to be wildly unreasonable, and her boyfriend is scary. I'm sorry you're in this situation. OP replies, sadly, my school didn't offer a housing program for exchange students, so I had to find that accommodation on my own. I don't have anyone to report her to. If I could, I would though. I'm hopefully back at home in about a week, but even if I'm not, I got the green flag from my boyfriend's family to stay as long as I need, so I'll be entirely moved out, probably by Sunday or Monday. So this is just a classic no-win situation where the friend has just lost her goddamn mind, because it's apparent that there was no communication, there was no expectations given out to OP, no matter how unreasonable they would have been had it been communicated, but now she's the asshole for not reading her roommate's mind and is getting punished as a result of it. And there's obviously no contract in place. This is a very informal situation. I don't think there's any winning here personally besides what OP is doing. You just have to get out of there. You're not the asshole for this one at all, and I can understand why you think you might, because when you have everyone telling you, you're an asshole for this, you're an asshole for that, ask me how I know, you can very easily convince yourself that you are in the wrong. But I think in this situation specifically, you haven't done anything wrong and there's nothing you could have done to make this right, besides, I don't know, randomly cancelling the plans just to stay home after she got hospitalized. But why would you assume that it's your responsibility when her entire family was there in the house? That is so stupid. She's a bad person for this. Very bad person. So there is a follow-up post by OP titled, I have to move out urgently of the room I'm renting. Does my landlord have to be present while I move out? So because of a terrible situation with my landlord, who is also my roommate, I have to move out of my room within the week. I had planned on moving my things out and leaving my keys on Sunday. She is leaving on a week-long trip that day, and I'm not comfortable being around her, so is planning on moving out my things and leaving my keys while she's gone. However, she just texted me that I have to move things out either today or next week while she is present so she can do her inspection. Do I have to be present for that inspection? Can I just not move out my things and she can do her inspection after? I'm currently staying with my boyfriend for the time being. For reference, I'm currently residing in Ireland. In the comments, you want to be there to take videos and pictures of the place after you moved out. That way she can't try and claim damages or some other bullshit and try to get more money from you. Maybe have someone else there that you can trust. And OP says, so basically, I don't have to move out while she's there pretty much as long as I take pictures and have proof that I'm leaving the room that I'm renting damage-free. She can't hold you hostage. Move when you want to. Take video of the empty space, leave the keys, and go live your life. OP says, answering to this comment specifically, because it's become relevant now, she's basically telling me that if I don't pick up my shit tomorrow, before she leaves and is still present in the house, I will be locked out. Apparently there are extra locks and security that I wasn't aware of and don't have the keys to. Is there anything that I can do about this? I have 2 keys with me. My only 2 keys. The one to my room and the one to the front door. Another commenter says, you have proof that you live there. Carry that documentation with you. Call a locksmith and have him open the door, call the police for documentation, and sue her for the costs. OP replies, I ended up getting all of my stuff today. I didn't want to fuck around with my passport. Someone else says, follow your contract. OP says, never signed one. Another commenter says, move out. Don't leave the keys, and do an inspection when she returns. She can't stop you from moving while you were gone. But in your best interest, don't turn the keys over until a final walk-in is done in person with her. OP replies, I just gathered all of my things today, took pictures, left my keys, cleaned out, and all that positive stuff. I'm 99% positive that she'll find a way to keep my deposit anyway, so I didn't see a point in waiting around for her. Plus, I'll be off on a road trip with my boyfriend from the 27th. And now, onto the update. So, like everyone told me, I finally moved out all my things. I got home about 10 minutes ago. Initially, I wanted to move out while she was off to her brother's wedding, but it turns out the house had secret locks that I don't have keys to, so I had to move all of my things out today with her being present. Otherwise, she was pretty much threatening to keep my passport hostage until she came back. I got everything cleaned out, somehow managed to pack a whole year's worth of my things into all of my bags and suitcases, and went back to my boyfriend's. I cried a lot, but overall I'm very, very, very happy with how things turned out. There was no big confrontation or anything of the sort. I didn't talk to her and she didn't talk to me, and that was pretty much it. In a new turn of events, instead of going directly home, my boyfriend's father has gifted me a trip to Hungary and Austria to meet my boyfriend's mum. So that's also great as well. I'm out of the country on the 27th, back home later in June. All is beautiful in the best of worlds. Very happy all ended well. In the comments, OP could have called the police on the roommate if she stole her passport. OP replies, "Oh no, yeah, before ultimately going in while she's there, instead of getting my things while she was gone like I had planned to, I did call the police about it beforehand." What the guy on the phone basically told me was while it would have been within my right to call the police if the door was locked, since I live there and pay rent, and they would have opened it for me, it would have been very long and very stressful for everyone involved. Ultimately, I didn't want to fuck around too much with my own passport. If it was just the clothes and stuff, I would have risked it otherwise. Another commenter says, "I'm glad that it worked out, but for future reference, never hand over your passport to anyone. That's super dangerous." And OP says, "I didn't. I left it in my room initially with the other documents. I told her about it, and she told me that she didn't care and would lock the door either way." Another commenter asks, "Did you find her yourself or via an exchange program?" OP says, "My school didn't offer an accommodation program, so I had to find her myself. However, I did find her on a Facebook group dedicated to student accommodations in Dublin. I plan on reporting her to the admins and see what comes of it. Also planning on sending an email to the head of my Erasmus program to see if they can at least warn future students from her, although I have very little hope." This is just one of those situations where I don't think you can actually do anything about her besides, hope that some people will warn that she is a threat to others in the future. And I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say, oh, what she did wasn't technically illegal, because the holding the passport thing definitely feels illegal. And I don't know why OP didn't just get the police to come and unlock the door to the room that had her passport in it and get out of there a lot faster. But hey, maybe there were other circumstances that I'm not taking into account right now, and it sounded like a highly volatile, stressful situation, so I'm glad that you were able to get out of it alive, OP. Glad that everything worked out, and I hope you avoid people like her in the future. Anyway guys, that's all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.